want to talk today about a controversial word. It's a word that has been with us for years. And like it or not, it's indelibly printed in the pages of American history. A word that was originally intended as a derogatory term, meant to shame and divide and demean. The word was conceived of by a group of wealthy white men who needed a way to put themselves above and apart from a black man, to render him inferior and unequal, and to diminish his accomplishments. President Obama has been labeled with this word by his opponents. And at first, he rose above it, hoping that if he could just make a cause for what he'd achieved, his opponents would fail in making their label stick. But no matter how many successes that he had as president, he realized there were still many people for whom he'd never be anything more than that one disparaging word.
Oh, poor Barack Obama. This has never happened to anyone else before. That's Melissa Harris Perry. And let me just put my personal 2 cents in right off the bat for her analogy here. Cuckoo! Joining us now to talk about this and so much more is our friend Christopher Parker, professor of social justice and political science at the University of Washington. Hello, Christopher.
Hey, what's going on, Steve?
How are you?
I'm still breathing. How about yourself?
Me too. Last I checked. Yeah, I think so. All right. Now, you know, to sit there and play the race card because people dubbed the Affordable Health Care Act Obamacare, a term which he said, I'm going to, yeah, it's Obamacare. I'm proud of it. After people called Romney Care, and after they called Hillary's proposal back in the 90s Hillary Care. How on earth does this become something concocted by evil white men who want to, you know, destroy the president? I mean, this is just so ludicrous that I can't even fathom that she wants to be taken seriously.
You mean calling it Obamacare or calling him something else?
No, what do you mean calling? No, calling it Obamacare. She says he's identified by that word, and the effort, of course, it's racist, that word.
Oh, well, you know, my take on this is, as soon as the president started calling it Obamacare, and he is calling it as such, the Affordable Care Act, and he adopted the term, as far as I'm concerned, that conversation was over.
Yeah, but what if he didn't adopt it himself and use it? They called Hillary didn't call it Hillary Care. The media and people dubbed it Hillary Care. Romney didn't call it Romney Care. There was a name for that bill too. But during the whole election, and maybe even the president himself during the campaign, everyone called it Romney Care. So is that racist too?
Well, I mean, I think racism might be a little strong, but it does cue people when you have Obama care, right? It shows that when you prime it with Obama, that support for it shrinks undeniably.
Right, really, because people don't trust or like the president right now, and that of course it shrinks. But again, but her whole premise is that white men came up with this because they're so ingenious and hateful, as if it didn't happen last year during the campaign and in the 90s with Hillary. I mean, I never heard anything so ridiculous in my life.
Well, I don't know how ridiculous that is. I wouldn't necessarily call it ridiculous, right? There have been many studies, Steve, that show that anytime they use Obama as a prime in these field experiments, that it causes support for anything to go down, right? When they present the Affordable Care Act in its components, I mean, it gets pretty overwhelming support. As soon as it's primed as Obamacare, then it goes completely down.
Okay, but it goes down because maybe people don't even know what the Affordable Health Care Act is. It's been so commonly known as Obamacare. But that's not the point. The point is she's crying racism by saying that white men came up with this term. Again, I ask you, who came up with Romney Care? Who came up with Hillary Care? If this were the first time anything like this were ever done, you could say, oh, you know, but it's been done on health care before to Clinton and Romney, and they're white. So what is this?
Well, that's undeniable. It's happened before with other folks. There's no question about that, right? So I can't even really speak to that. That's not something I'm prepared to speak on. I thought we were going to discuss something else about Mandela.
Oh, but we will. But okay. I thought this was part of it. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's you know, to me this is a done deal because these are counterfactuals, right? Not counterfactual in the sense that these other terms, derisive terms, weren't devised by white men, right? That's neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned, because as soon as Obama started calling Obamacare himself, game over.
All right. All right. Well, again, all right. To me, game over from the beginning, whether he adopted it or not, because it's been done in the past and as recently as a year ago to Governor Romney. But that aside, I mean, I don't want you to sit here and try to defend, Melissa Harris Perry for what's, in my view, indefensible.
Well, she's actually a good friend of mine.
Yeah. Well, she also said that kids don't belong to their parent. I mean, I could go down the list of cockamamie things she said. Having said that, let's go on to Nelson Mandela. I mean, I was prepared to also talk about Toure and Don Lemon, but we'll go back to that. Mandela, you want to talk about the handshake? Is that what you thought we would also discuss?
No. I thought we were going to discuss, how, these right wingers are suggesting that Nelson Mandela was a terrorist.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, fair enough. Well, I don't think it's only right wingers. The United States government, up until 2008, there were many left wingers who have taken Mandela to task for not doing enough on AIDS and HIV.
I'm talking about saying he's a terrorist, Steve.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, the ANC was a terrorist organization. It was classified as a terrorist organization, and as a matter of fact, he could have gotten out of jail prior to the 27 years if he had renounced terrorism, according to the reports I've heard, and he refused to do so. So while he started out in a peaceful manner, and to his credit, and there's a lot to this man's credit, he started out peacefully and was driven to what he felt he needed to do because of a massacre of the peaceful protesters. And when he saw that, they took a different track. And when he got out of prison, he could have sought revenge, but didn't. So there's a lot to admire about him. But it's undeniable that the group that he headed did commit acts of terror. I mean, you're going to deny that?
Well, okay, so then what would you call the founding fathers?
I'm talking about Nelson Mandela.
No. I know what you're saying, but the concept is similar, right? We're talking about revolutionary change, right? And so if you call a Mandela a terrorist or the ANC a terrorist, right, you need to call the founding fathers terrorists too.
Really? So if I call Yasser Arafat a terrorist, then I need to call the founding fathers terrorists? If I call Al Qaeda terrorists, I need to call the founding fathers terrorists. I don't follow your line. I don't follow your line of thinking. If
we're talking about freedom, Steve, and democracy, right? That's what the founding fathers wanted, right?
And killing civilians and blowing up railroads and different things.
Wait! But we're talking about freedom and democracy, right? Are we talking about the same thing?
Well, no, we're not. We're not talking about specifically the same thing. No, we're not.
No, but the founding fathers fought for freedom and democracy, right?
Yeah. Well, how are they terrorists exactly?
They're terrorists because
how is the Revolutionary War terrorism?
That's a war, just like Mandela. He was prosecuting a war with the weapons he had at his disposal.
Oh, so turning it on civilian targets and on civilians is acceptable. Is that what you're saying? And that's the same as a conventional war. Is that what you're saying?
Are you?
You got to answer my question before I answer yours.
I'm not aware of any instances in which Mandela used.
I'm not talking Mandela specifically. I'm talking about the ANC. The ANC was classified up until I believe 2008 by this country. That means Bill Clinton too, as a terrorist group. So is Bill Clinton some kind of right-wing bigot or anti-black, or how would you describe Bill Clinton?
Well, this is what I'm talking about, Steve. What I'm trying to discuss here is the fact that on Newt Gingrich's site and Ted Cruz's site,
they praised Mandela.
They did.
Yeah.
Right? But what about I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the backlash they got from these right-wing nutcases who were calling Mandela a terrorist.
So what? So what? Who are they? Do you know who they are? Maybe they were left-wingers posing as right-wingers.
Oh,
do you know? Wait, Professor, do you know these people? Don't you know that that's a common tactic to show up at rallies for one side or the other, cause a scene, and make like you're one of that group, say horrific things? How do you know who these people were?
So are you saying that the Tea Partiers that showed up at the debate over the Affordable Care Act, are you saying that some of those were left-wingers that spat on these legislatures?
Oh, that never, my friend. My friend, there was rewards. There was money put up. There was money put up to show any video or sound proof of any black legislator being spat upon or being called any name, and nobody ever found it. Have you seen the tape or heard the tape of any of that? I haven't.
I've seen it.
Really? Really? Where'd you see it?
Hey,
I'd like to know where you saw it. Where'd you see it?
I will download it and send a link.
Please do. Please do. In Washington, when they were marching with Nancy Pelosi with the gavel, they were spat upon and cursed at. I want to see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll show it to you.
Okay, great. Fair enough. Fair enough. So we will see that. But blaming people who post on websites, I mean, then I could say, hey, the liberals who called for Dick Cheney's death and celebrated Tony Snow's death and all this kind of and said kill Bush. So who should I put them up next to? Who should I blame for their crazy, sick, demented views?
That stuff was way out of bounds as far as.
So then why? So then what's this all about then?
Well, what this is all about is that their constituents, right?
How do you know they're their constituents?
Oh, come on! Do you think left wingers are going to be trolling their blogs?
I don't know if the left wingers posted it, but will left wingers go look on Ted Cruz's website and Twitter's or whatever? Absolutely. Are you kidding?
Oh.
Apps. They want to destroy him.
And you know this as you asked me for some empirical facts. So you're gonna offer me some empirical facts?
No, I believe. Do I think? Yeah, I believe with all my heart that left wingers go on Ted Cruz's website, Twitter account, and see what he says. No, but neither do you. But neither do you.
No. I'm gonna show you. No, Steve. I'm gonna send you.
Wait. No. You're gonna you're showing me. You're sending me a video link to something completely different. You don't know who posted on Ted Cruz's website or on Newt Gingrich's website, do you?
I cannot.
Then we're even on that. Then we're even.
I could not say that for a fact.
Okay, then we are even. All right. What's with Toure tweeting out that Don Lemon of CNN is a white leader? What is that about?
I can't. You know what? This is the first I'm hearing about this.
Yeah,
I haven't heard about that, but I can venture a guess.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, Don Lemon is black. For people who don't know, he's on CNN. Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely positively think it's abhorrent that he would do something like that. That Toure would do something like that. I think it's abhorrent.
But you say you think you know what it's about, so tell me. I want to know.
I
have an inquiring mind, Professor. I want to know.
I think the possibility exists that Toure perhaps thinks Don Lemon is a sellout. That's what I think.
And what is a sellout exactly?
Someone who rejects their racial identity.
And how do you reject your racial identity? Does he go around saying I'm white, or he just?
Of course not.
You mean he works for CNN and he has a show and he's not an Al Sharpton disciple? That makes him a sellout?
I'm just stating a sort of broad sort of premise.
Isn't that the most horrific kind of racism that there is? Thinking that a black person needs to be a certain way, or he's not really black?
Yeah, I think there are issues that are associated with that. Yes, I do.
All right. Well, I like when we agree to agree instead of agreeing to disagree, which we did both of those today. Hey, Professor, good having you on for the long segment. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
All right, no problem, Steve.
Take care. Christopher Parker, ladies and gentlemen, professor of social justice and political science at the University of Washington. Also has that book on the Tea Party. Is it Change They Can't Believe In? I think so. Anyway, we're coming back, and we're going to be joined by Peter Schweitzer, fellow at Stanford University's Hoover Institution, and we're going to talk about just how little the interaction was, as we brought up yesterday, between Kathleen Sebelius and Barack Obama in 3 years and 4 months since they passed health care. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.